UFC 266, Volkanovski versus Ortega. Welcome to our main card prediction video. Yours truly here at Boxing MMA Picks. He goes by the name of Zan. I go by the name of Harris, and this is another UFC prediction and analysis video where we give you our fight-by-fight breakdown, fight-by-fight analysis specifically from the betting perspective. Here to let you know which fights are worth the value, which fights you want to avoid, perhaps which underdog has the best shot at winning. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you may even get a little bit of parlay action as well. If you have not checked out our prelim video, please be sure to check that out as that is out. And also subscribe to the channel, participate in the comments, let us know some of the picks that you're liking, let us know how you feel about our picks. And again, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell as well. So we talked about the prelims already. There was 9 fights on that. On our main card for this Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega pay-per-view event. Pretty stacked, pretty condensed, just the way I like it. We have 5 fights on the main card. So we are going to get right to fight number 1, where we have Jéssica Andrade taking on Cynthia Calvillo. Andrade, she lost to Valentina Shevchenko back in April on the feet. Fights in the pocket, looks to keep distance close, hands stay tight. Marches her opponents down a bit, especially the ones that move well around the ring. Likes to engage, throws a lot of combinations in those moments where she can engage. We see her significant strikes landed per minute, very inflated as a result of that, especially those hook combinations, almost a borderline brawl style. Physically strong, and we know that's because she's short, so she's going to be, very physically strong. Uses that to her advantage, right? With her wrestling, with her grappling, almost 3 takedowns per fight, 55% accuracy, very respectable. Also a BJJ black belt. So of course she is legitimately credentialed. Doesn't just rely on brute strength, although brute strength can work in her favor, as we know with her infamous knockout with Thug Rose Namajunas. Decent defensive guard. If she is taken down, she has the ability to scramble. She has the ability to get back to her feet. I've seen her do it against many opponents. So it's a pretty reliable aspect to her game. With Cynthia Calvillo, she lost to Katlyn Chookagian. That was back in November last year. Decently reliable in stand-up, good head movement. She is able to pick up the pace when needed, good strength for the division. We saw that in the Jessica I fight. And she does have that wrestling. She has good grappling as well. This is a close fight in a lot of ways. I feel like they do have some of the same strengths. But to keep the prediction short, Andrade to me just has that clear X factor advantage, the toughness, the brute strength. I feel like she can engage a little bit more effectively. I feel like she can put the pressure on a little bit more effectively. And, Cynthia Calvillo, yes, it was a very high level striker in Katlyn Chookagian, but Calvillo proved to be very hittable in that last fight. And I think Jéssica Andrade can capitalize on that. So I am looking for Jéssica Andrade to get the job done here. I don't really see Calvillo winning this. I don't see her path to victory necessarily. Minus 280 for Andrade. I wish it was a little bit closer, but nonetheless, Andrade is going to be my pick.
Yeah, I think Calvillo is going to really need a spirited performance to win this fight. I'm not sure how she gets this one done, because she's going to have top-notch grappling, top-notch entries, because she's going to be grappling a physically stronger fighter that is going to be able to get back on their feet, because they're that much stronger. So Calvillo is going to have to lock up submission or do something really good. She's going to have to look really well, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Andrade is a bad matchup for her. It's going to be hard to it's going to be hard to do the wrestling for 3 rounds, and once they're on the feet, I think Jéssica Andrade, that power, I think she has the better striking as well. I think she's going to be able to land better. And I think she could dictate some of the wrestling. I think she's going to be the one that could get some takedowns as well. So, again, I think Calvillo could win, but she needs a real, she needs to dig deep here and got to have a real spirited performance to get this done, because I don't think she gets it done. I think Andrade is too strong. And I think the power, even in the stand-up, is going to be a big factor in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised to finish. And Jéssica is my pick to get this done.
Moving on to fight number 2, we have Blaydes taking on Jairzinho. Rozenstruik, a very interesting heavyweight matchup with Blaydes. I mean, we know he's a wrestling specialist. He'll get you to the ground at will. The wrestling will always be his strongest attribute. We see there over 6.5 takedowns per fight. On the feet, you are going to get a lot of fakes and feints out of him, especially a lot of level changes as well. Good in and out movement. Decently light on the feet, for a heavyweight, of course. Uses that jab as a setup punch. Good constant pressure on the feet as well. Definitely going to want to back you up against the cage to, of course, look for those clinch and wrestling opportunities. For Jairzinho, we know he knocked out Augusto Sakai back in June. Patient, very patient fighter in the stand-up, point fighter type of stand-up. Almost has underrated power where he hurts guys with jabs, right? He hurts guys with short hooks or short straights. Doesn't really need to wind up a punch to hurt you. Has that sort of touch of death type of power in a very underrated type of way. Likes to keep the fight on the feet. We know his kickboxing credentials, 76-9 as a professional kickboxer. Not the most active striker though. Pretty good technical striker, fast hands, quick strikes, quick counters, things like that. Again, in a Curtis Blaydes fight, I did mention this on the prelims as well, but in a Curtis Blaydes fight, you have to note the opponent's takedown defense. For Jairzinho, it's 80% takedown defense. Blaydes lands almost 7 takedowns per fight, which is a very high pace. You have to ask yourself, will he be able to get Jairzinho down? This is almost deja vu of the Derek Lewis fight where he was not able to get Derek Lewis down, and as a result, he suffered the nasty KO uppercut. I think even with Jairzinho's 80% defense, I do think that Curtis Blaydes will be able to get Jairzinho down. And the reason why I say that, of course, is because he's not as big of a guy as Derek Lewis is, where Curtis Blaydes is going to be the bigger guy. And I think that's going to work in his favor to actually be able to land that takedown. If you recall that Derek Lewis fight, Blaydes almost looked scared on the feet that one big shot was coming. Of course, then it did. Jairzinho's not that type of striker, although he does have the touch of death type of power. It's not in a threatening way the same way that it is with Derek Lewis. You do have to ask yourself if that's going to play a factor in this fight as well in terms of what we see from Curtis Blaydes on the feet. Again, ultimately, I think that Blaydes will be able to use his wrestling in this fight. And if Blaydes is able to use his wrestling, then he's almost going to be my pick every time. So as a result, he's going to be my pick in this fight. I'm going to go with Curtis Blaydes. I think his wrestling will prevail. And I think that he's going to, soak up 2 rounds with his takedowns and with his wrestling. So he's going to be my pick.
Yeah, you got to look at Blaydes here. He's the bigger guy. He's going to be 265 pounds, the better athlete. He has that wrestling. Rozenstruik may have 80% takedowns defense, but he's only fought he really only fought strikers. Augusto Sakai, Cyril Gane, Junior Dos Santos, Francis Ngannou, Alistair Overeem, Arlovsky, Alan Crowder, Junior Albini. So that 80% it's not really true. And Curtis Blaydes is going to get this to the mat. He has a 20-pound weight advantage, or he should have that come fight night, 20, 30 pounds. He's going to have the size, the wrestling, the athleticism. I see Rozenstruik getting tired in there because I think Curtis will get these takedowns. So Curtis is my pick. He's going to be motivated after his last fight. And I see him, like UFC is giving him a guy that doesn't wrestle. So UFC is definitely setting him up to go on another streak. So, yeah, I'm going to roll with Curtis Blaydes. I think he gets it done easy.
All right, so let's move on to fight number 3. Very hard fight to predict. Of course, we have the rematch many years later, Nick Diaz taking on Robbie Lawler. How do you feel about this one? It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's tough because these guys, man, because we don't know what we're getting from Nick Diaz. But I will tell you that this guy is definitely in shape. He does marathons. He's always in the gym with his brother and his team. So he has a team of guys he trains with. So this guy's always been involved. Robbie Lawler has a couple losses on. He has a losing streak going on right now. It's a matter of who has more left. I think Robbie's a year older. It's tough, man. But Nick Diaz is one of my favorite guys of all time, right? So I don't want to make a biased pick, but I think he gets it done here. I think he gets it done in a fight that I don't know what's going to happen. Lawler can easily knock him out because Diaz will be rusty. But I think as the fight goes on, if Lawler, he hasn't had a knockout in years. If Lawler doesn't knock him out, I could see Diaz doing that Diaz boxing, just using his reach, using his cardio to take over the fight. So yeah, I like Nick Diaz here to win because I think he's in better shape. I think he's going to be the better athlete in the match. I think as the fight goes on, he's just going to pile on the strikes on Lawler. So I'm going to go Nick Diaz. I'm going to go Nick Diaz in a fight that I really don't know what's going to happen, but Nick's my guy, and I think he gets it done.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my prediction really short. And I think, you know, if we're just being honest with ourselves, there is no way that you can accurately analyze this fight. You know, two fighters that have been away from the octagon for quite some time. We know that Lawler competed somewhat recently, I should say, against Neil Magny. But I mean, with Nick Diaz, of course, it's been over 6 years since he's last competed. You don't know what you're going to get from these guys. You know, Nick Diaz, of course, a little bit of bias there. He is one of the favorite fighters, of course, of fans as well as of myself. And I'm just going to completely make a gut check here. I don't really have any valuable analysis to provide. I think Nick Diaz gets the job done. I think he has more tools. To your point, he's a year younger. And yeah, I mean, he has a fresher body because he hasn't competed in quite some time, and he does triathlons and things like that. So Nick Diaz, I mean, he's going to be my pick. This is going to be an interesting fight. There's no chance I'm betting on this fight whatsoever. I'm just going to enjoy this one as two guys having a rematch many years later. So Nick Diaz will be my pick for that fight as well. Let's move on to the co-main event. Valentina Shevchenko taking on Lauren Murphy. I don't think this one requires much analysis either. Shevchenko is going to be my pick. She can definitely do it all. Very dominant champion. She does severely outclass pretty much all of her opponents. World-class striking, you know, good takedowns when she wants to go for it. You know, 2.5 per fight, 64% accuracy, good top control. And of course, we know cardio is not a concern whatsoever. With her being a 5-round fighter for quite some time. For Lauren Murphy, she had that split decision win over Joanne Calderwood back in June. 5-fight win streak in her own right. That of course is what has brought her to the title opportunity. Most closely identifies as a boxer. You know, comes forward, not a high-level striker necessarily though, but she does have solid boxing. Picks her shots well, patient, cuts the ring off well, decent jab. But you know, the ground game is not really a threat. The takedown defense on paper is there at 70%. She is physically strong as well. But I mean, again, Shevchenko all the way. That's really all I have to say. Valentina minus 1,400. You're never going to get good value from a Valentina fight. And I don't think Lauren Murphy is going to be the girl to have a shot at dethroning Valentina. So I'm going Valentina all the way on this.
Yeah, definitely Shevchenko all day. I think she's ultimately better everywhere. And to juice it up, actually Lauren Murphy has never been finished. Yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. I'll go Valentina Shevchenko, get the W. Easy win.
Let's move on then to our main event of the evening. Of course, we have Alexander Volkanovski taking on Brian Ortega. Alexander Volkanovski at minus 165 as the favorite. Brian Ortega plus 140 as the underdog. With Volkanovski, of course, we know that his last fight was that split decision win versus Max Holloway. Interesting fight. Some people do feel Max Holloway won that. That was in July, 19-fight win streak at this point. You know, a champion for a reason. He's going to be a fighter that can definitely do it all. You're going to see a lot of fakes and feints. Especially early in the fight, a lot of good leg kicks out of him, very effective with it, good counter puncher, good timing, good combinations, you know, an iron chin. You know, we know that he began his career as a middleweight. We know his rugby background, so he can definitely take a shot from anyone in the division. Of course, again, in that Max Holloway fight, he was somewhat dropped a couple of times, but again, that chin definitely held up. No slouch on the ground either, you know, 2 takedowns per fight, 72% takedown defense. Knows how to transition, knows how to scramble, get back up. Solid clinch game as well. He's pretty physically strong. With Brian Ortega, we know that he beat Korean Zombie, very improved striker, methodical striker. You know, he can switch stance, good quick jab, especially as a southpaw. Good technical striker as well, good calf kick. solid in and out movement. All that said, we know his specialty is in his grappling. Very strong grappler, 15 wins, 7 of them are via submission. And I mean, I'll get right to the prediction. We know that the intrigue in this fight is how improved Ortega looked against Korean Zombie. But even with that, I really feel like Volkanovski is just the better overall fighter. For Ortega to be a submission threat, he's not really a takedown threat. He's not really a wrestling threat. He's more of an opportunist when it comes to landing his submissions rather than somebody who gets his opponents down, then looks for subs. I mean, we see his takedown average there at 0.8 per fight, less than a takedown per fight, only 1 submission attempted per fight. I mean, usually it lands and it finishes the fight. That's why it's so low. But, only 21% takedown accuracy. He's more of an opportunist with his submissions rather than a sort of a dominant presence. And, I also feel like for as much as Ortega looked better on the feet in that Korean Zombie fight, I think Volkanovski presents a lot more of an active threat. We know that Korean Zombie is a bit more of a counterpuncher, gave Ortega that opportunity to make it slower paced and technical and methodical. But I feel like Alexander Volkanovski is just a different active type of fighter, almost the same way that Max Holloway was when he faced Brian Ortega. So, again, I'm going to get right to it from a prediction perspective. I'm going with Alexander Volkanovski. I actually love the odds here. Unless Ortega catches his neck or catches a triangle or catches some kind of funky opportunistic submission, I'm thinking Alexander Volkanovski all the way on this one. -165. I'm loving the value here.
Yeah, I'm going Alex all day, man. I think he's going to be the better striker, the better overall MMA fighter. I think Ortega is going to need to lock in a choke here to get this done. Volkanovski's tough, though, to submit. So I like Volkanovski in this fight to keep it on the feet. I think he's the better athlete. He's going to pile up those leg kicks. And I think he's going to hurt Ortega. So I like Volkanovski to get this done.
Cool. So let's go to Vegas in that case. Let's take a look at the main card or even just the entire card. From an underdog perspective, who are you taking a look at?
Maximov. I think he gets it done, man.
Yeah, I'm liking that. As an overall underdog pick there, I don't think there's any specific underdog value to provide on the main card. So I definitely agree with that. And again, I'm kind of echoing that. Maximov as well as Haqparast, I'm doubling down on my prelim underdog picks for my entire card underdog picks, because again, I don't feel like the main card provides much from that perspective. So those would be my 2 underdogs. Now, in terms of favorite picks, who are you taking a look at?
All right, so favorite picks. I like Alexander Volkanovski to get that done. Curtis Blaydes, Jéssica, Andrade. I'll keep that. That's the main card.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. I mean, in terms of main card, I'm definitely going to echo that. I feel really good about that Volkanovski value. If I were to maybe think about an entire parlay, I'd probably look at Volkanovski, Davishvili, Dawkins, Firo. Again, I'm just sort of thinking out loud here. These are kind of a few fights that I really like on the entire card. But if I am looking at just the main card, then yeah, to your point, Volkanovski, Shevchenko, there's really no point. She doesn't really add too much value to the parlay. So just go Volkanovski, Blaydes, Andrade. That is going to be a 3-fight parlay at +193. $100 will return $293. And for our bigger bettors, $250 will return $733. So we are going to sign off on that note. This, of course, has been the main card predictions for UFC 266. Alexander Volkanovski taking on Brian Ortega. In our usual fashion, we do ask that you subscribe to the channel, participate in the comments, hit that thumbs up button, as well as hit the notification bell so you know when we come out with our next prediction videos. Officially signing off on this point, we are Boxing MMA Picks. He goes by the name of Zan. I go by the name of Harris. And in our usual fashion, let's get this money.
Let's do it.